Benvenuti a Coffee Break Italian.
Welcome back to the Coffee Break Italian show. Io sono Mark.
E io sono Maurizio.
Come stai, Maurizio?
Tutto bene, dai, tutto bene. E tu, Mark?
Abbastanza bene.
Abbastanza, solo abbastanza.
Solo abbastanza oggi. In these weekly episodes of the Coffee Break Italian show, we're helping you take your Italian to the next level, one coffee break at a time.
You can subscribe to the podcast feed wherever you're listening from, if you're listening to us. If you're watching us, you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube.
Absolutely. Talking of YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, you may have seen a little link underneath the video where you can buy your own Coffee Break Italian mug. So if you would like to get your mug, there's a link underneath this video. And if you're listening to the podcast video, the podcast version of this, then simply head to coffeebreakgiftshop.com.
So, Mark, what are we talking about today?
Well, a little story for you today. I was recently in Italy. We were filming some content for our Coffee Break Club. And I was checking out the hotel. And the lady who was helping me check out at reception, she was on her own. There was no one else around. And the phone rang at reception. And she said something to me that I'd never heard before. Just the expression that she'd said. I knew exactly what she meant, but I'd never heard this exact expression. She
what
said,
was the expression?
Chiedo scusa.
Chiedo scusa.
So she was asking me for to excuse her because she had to answer the phone. So she said, chiedo scusa, devo rispondere
al telefono.
Al telefono. But I'd never heard of chiedo scusa. So I thought it would be useful in this episode if we look at different ways to say, I'm sorry.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Cominciamo?
Cominciamo.
So the first way to say sorry in Italian is probably the most common one that we would come across. And that would be?
That would be mi dispiace.
Mi dispiace. It literally means it displeases me. Sounds a little bit posh.
Yes. But it's the most common way to apologize for something that you have done.
Yeah. So perhaps if you bumped into someone, would you say mi dispiace?
Mi dispiace, yeah. Yeah, you would say that.
Okay.
And there's a shorter version of mi dispiace, which is mi spiace.
Yeah. So does that mean exactly the same? Can it be used exactly the same situation?
Exactly in the same way. Depends on what you prefer. You prefer to say mi dispiace or mi spiace. Mi spiace is definitely quicker because it's shorter. So.
Would it be right to say that mi spiace is a bit more Italian?
Maybe.
Maybe fewer learners are likely to know mi spiace. And therefore, it might sound, okay, they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So, mi spiace is the shorter version of mi dispiace, and it means exactly the same. Another one that is common is scusa.
So, with scusa, we have to think about something. We have to think about who you're talking to, the person you're addressing, because scusa is an informal scenario. With mi dispiace or mi spiace, you're talking about yourself. It displeases me. It's nothing to do about the person you're talking to.
Yeah.
But with scusa, informal, what's the formal form?
Scusi.
And you can actually make it a little longer. You can say scusami. Amore scusami. Oh dear. Or the formal form of that would be?
It's mi scusi.
So be careful with that one. Mi scusi, formal, or scusami, informal.
Exactly. And scusa can be used to apologize, as I was saying, but it can also be used to grab someone's attention.
Of course, yeah.
If you want to stop someone in the street, you might say scusi.
Yeah.
To be formal.
Scusi, dov'è la piazza?
Esattamente.
Oh, okay.
Scusi, dov'è la piazza?
So you can use it to apologize, but you can also use it to attract someone's attention.
Exactly.
Would you say mi dispiace in the street?
You could use it, but I think it's more common to say scusa. So I would stick to scusa or scusi depending on who you're talking to. Yeah.
In both scusami or mi dispiace, is the thing that you have done serious? If you're really apologizing here.
It can be both for lighter things and more serious things. But if you want to be more serious, you can use, for example, perdonami, which literally translates to forgive me.
Forgive me, yeah. Perdonami. And of course, that is another informal one. So perdonami, informal. And then the formal version would be?
Mi perdoni.
So it works the same way as mi scusi. Don't worry about that I at the end of mi scusi, because you may be thinking, oh, there's an I on the end, it's the tu form, but it's actually an imperative, it's a command form.
Yes.
So we do need the I on the end for the formal version.
Yes.
Mi scusi, mi perdoni.
Esattamente.
Okay.
I want to share with you something funny about perdonami, Mark.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if you know about this.
Tell me.
So it means forgive me, but sometimes you can use perdonami or mi perdoni when you want to introduce something that might sound harsh.
So this is making it sound less harsh.
In a way, sort of. So for example, you can say to someone, perdonami, ma non sei simpatico.
This is basically, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but you're not nice.
Yes.
Perdonami,
ma non sei simpatico. So forgive me, but you're not nice in this sense.
Yeah, and perdonami is quite strong.
It is quite strong, and that's why it's funny that we use it before excusing ourselves from saying something that it's a bit harsh.
A bit rude. Okay. What about some other useful expressions that are linked to these kind of things?
So, for example, when you want to take the blame for something and you want to say it's your fault. So to say it's my fault in Italian, we say è colpa mia.
So è colpa mia. Can we ever say è la mia colpa?
Not really. So this is an interesting use of the possessive adjective, because normally possessive adjectives come before the noun, and as you were saying, they're introduced also by an article. But è colpa mia, this colpa mia, it's a set phrase.
Yeah, okay.
And you can clearly replace mia
with tua,
sua, nostra, and so on.
So è colpa mia, it's my fault. È colpa tua, it's your fault.
È colpa sua,
his or her fault. Okay.
Exactly. So I think we could also talk about phrases to ask for permission, since we're talking about apologizing.
Yeah, okay.
For example, a sentence that you might hear in Italy, if you're in a crowded place and people want to, get through, you might hear è permesso or permesso.
And that's when people are asking permission, literally, to go past you or come into a room or something like that.
Exactly. So if you knock at the door of someone's office, then you would be, before knocking or after, you can say è permesso or simply permesso.
Yeah. And then the person might say avanti.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
That's correct.
I've also heard posso used in a similar way.
Yes. So posso, from the verb potere, it means can I or may I.
Yeah.
So it's a very versatile phrase that you can use if you want to ask for permission.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so coming back to that original phrase when I mentioned that the lady at reception was answering the phone and she said chiedo scusa.
Sí.
So I ask for your
apology, we could say.
Yeah. What other situations might we hear that in?
So for example, let's imagine you're at a party and you're talking to people, you're in the middle of a conversation, but in the corner of your eye, you see someone that you were meant to talk to.
Yeah.
So to excuse yourself from the situation, you might ask, chiedo scusa, devo andare a parlare con Antonio.
Yeah.
Let's imagine.
So that's nice. I guess in English, we would probably just say something like, excuse me, yes. I need to go and speak to someone. But that's the most natural way to do that in Italian. Chiedo scusa.
Chiedo scusa.
Could we say mi dispiace?
You could say scusa. Or scusate if it's a group of people. Mi dispiace in this case wouldn't work because you're not really apologizing for you haven't done anything wrong, Yeah. So to excuse yourself, you can say scusa or chiedo scusa in that case.
Good. So we've looked at a whole range of different phrases in this episode. We've talked about chiedo scusa. We talked about mi dispiace or mi spiace. We have spoken about...
We talked about scusa or scusami and the formal version, mi scusi. We mentioned perdonami, mi perdoni, perdonami ma, è colpa mia, è colpa tua, è permesso, and posso.
Posso. Okay, so we'll leave it there. We hope that you have enjoyed this lesson and that it's been useful to you for the next time you have got to apologise in Italian. If you would like to see a written version of this lesson, then we've got a blog article. You can find the link for that in the description of this podcast.
If you'd like more help with your Italian, remember you can subscribe to our mailing list to receive regular free email lessons. Visit coffeebreaklanguages.com/Italian.
And you can look out for that next mini lesson in your inbox very soon, if you sign up for it, of course. Allora, è tutto per oggi.
È tutto, vi ringraziamo.
Grazie mille, grazie a te.
E happy coffee breaking.
Happy coffee breaking.
Ciao.
You have been listening to a Coffee Break Languages production for the Radiolingua Network. Copyright 2023 Radiolingua Limited. Recording copyright 2023 Radiolingua Limited. All rights reserved.